Hello there guys, Wayne here from Luna's World. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. In this video we are going to be checking out how I've got my views set up, and I've had quite a lot of questions about this. Can you do a video on it? So absolutely, here we are. It's relatively easy. It's a little bit kind of fiddly. I have to say that I really like the camera system now. I didn't at first because there's always that sort of transition period of, you know, kind of being really used to the sim that you used before, and there's that sort of learning curve, that sort of honeymoon period, if you like, of getting used to a new camera system. So yeah, so like I said, once I got used to it, I actually find it quite intuitive and pretty decent. You can set it up in exactly the same way as X-Plane or Prepared if you want to. For me, I see it as a new thing, and I've got it set up in a new way. I control it in a way that is different to X-Plane. That's just my preference though. Okay, so let's jump in. So the first thing is, if you haven't got your controllers set up, this is how you do it. Select your main controller. You probably won't, it depends on what controller you've got. My Saitek X45 is pretty ancient, so there's no pre-saved profiles in here, so you have to set it up yourself, which is not a big deal. First thing, go to primary control surfaces and set up your ailerons, your elevator, and your rudder, and you know, just whatever axis you're using. You can see them moving here. You just match it up. Pretty straightforward. If you want to adjust sensitivity or add a dead zone, you can see I've got a dead zone here because we do have a little bit. I could probably afford to increase this a little bit of wobbling there, so that's just showing that there's a little bit of interference, probably dust in the control, whatever it is. And then you can adjust your sensitivity here. That should give you a pretty decent calibrated controller system. Do the same for throttle and flaps here. I've got buttons toggled for my flaps, A and B buttons on my actual stick. Spoilers I've got set to a rotary knob, and trim I've got set to a little button on my throttle quadrant. And yeah, so that's all fairly straightforward. Landing gear as well. I don't set up lights, I just do that sort of in cockpit. And then in terms of power, of course, I have mixture set to a rotary knob, and the throttle is the main slider axis there. And reverse, have I got reverse? Oh, reverse I've toggled, I think, yeah, to a button here, which will just activate reverse. So I don't have control over the amount of reverse that I put in. It's just literally on or off. That kind of works for the time being. So that's fine. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. I'm going to save that because I've changed some of the things in there. You'll also see that I have this PS3 gamepad. Now this is exclusively for views, actually for controlling the drone. Now, this is a little bit fiddly to set up, especially if you haven't flown a drone before. So I've got this set up in the same way that you would fly, you know, a drone in real life, because I'm used to that, because I fly, well, I don't anymore, but I used to fly drones quite a bit. So yeah, so in fact, the best thing to do is actually maybe for me to get into the cockpit, and hopefully you can see, I'm just going to double check that OBS has got my controller in view. Yeah, so hopefully you guys can see that here. I'm going to press insert, which will take me to drone view, and I'll go through how I've got this set up. So this, the great thing about these controllers is that you've got two control axes, or control, yeah, axes here. So I've got this one set to left and right movement, vertical, horizontal movement in the drone, and up and down I've got set to forward and backwards. Okay, and then on the other side I've got this to rotation, up and down, left and right, sorry, and also up and down. Now the thing about drones is normally to move forward, you push the nose down and that will give you that momentum. It's not quite the same in this because you've got a forward. This is not like a throttle, if you know what I mean. So this is not power. This is actually forward motion. So that's the only difference between this and a real drone. I have my elevation set to these two back buttons here. So up here and down here. That works pretty well. And on this side, I've got the sensitivity, or rather the speed set. So if I want to, say, decrease this forward motion, I can hold the bottom one and it's going to come to a complete stop where I can't use the controller anymore. And I can then use single presses to slow this down. Let me go around this way and show you again as we come towards the aircraft. So if I hold it down, we get this crazy super speed like that, which is uncontrollable, but it's quite a nice way of getting to a particular destination if you want to, shoot a flyby video or whatever. So I'm holding the bottom button down and it will slow that down to a nice cinematic type of a view. Oh, that's not particularly good because I'm inside the aircraft. But there you go. You can see now that this controller, the left side, is very, very... Let me just get some height here. I got the wire in the way. Is a nice sort of cinematic, slow panning. And of course, the great advantage of using this is that we can use the two controllers at the same time. So you'll see that this one now is a lot faster in terms of the movement than this one. So I need to match that. I've got that bound to these two buttons here. So the square button and the round button. So we do the same thing. I get that moving around. I get it to stop. And then I go one click up or two clicks up. However fast you want to go. That looks pretty good. And now I can get some nice, beautiful, sweeping cinematic shots like this, especially if I hold down this one as well. So I can do this kind of thing. Some nice, beautiful shots like that. And it does take a little bit of getting used to. But as you can see, you can get some really, really nice effects. Some beautiful slow pans. Closing in on the shot. We can increase. We can get some nice detail here. So that's kind of it. That's kind of what I do in terms of getting views. And I find it quite intuitive. I didn't at first, though, so it's worth noting that. It does take some time. I do have loads of buttons. This button here, for example, takes me to different views. This is the AI view. I forget what this one is. Maybe, I don't know, camera, maybe a camera viewpoint. And that's AI again. That's really blurry, isn't it? I guess it's not loading in because we're away from... Yeah, so this is maybe an airport view. And I've just crashed. Don't know why that happened. Very strange. Okay, really weird. So that's kind of how I set it up. It works quite well as you're flying. Now that's the real bummer, is that at the moment there's no replay option. So all the external views you have to do while you're flying. Now I guess you can enable the co-pilot to fly, which does make life a bit easier. But for things like landings and takeoffs, you can't initiate a takeoff, for example, and be outside the cockpit and do everything properly. And the same for landing, even more so. So that's my qualm. I think they will add replay in there because every other sim has got it. They're bound to add that at some point, and I can't wait until they do, because as a YouTuber, that's such an important feature to have. So yeah, so I'll show you what I mean. We'll wait until this loads. We're in New York, so we're in quite a nice scenic place. So I'll take off and we'll go to some outside views. Okay, so here we are. We've just taken off out of Brooklyn and we are flying over towards Manhattan just to, you know, see some nice things out the window. As we check out some of the views. So I'm just trimming the aircraft out. Now, one of the things I like to do is if you hit spacebar, you get a kind of elevated view. Now, this is handy for landing and, you know, just seeing more over that glare shield. Now, I do have a button assigned to my Saitek where I can kind of move my view around here. And also left and right as well. That's the hat switch, so that I can get some better views, you know, of whatever it is I want to see. What I haven't done is bound in like a move forward key, but actually what I should do is bind them in X-Plane. It's the triangle brackets to move forward and backwards. So I'll probably go ahead and do that. So this is quite handy. So if you do have an extra, what would you call it? It's not really a hat switch. It's a rocker switch, I guess. Then you can bind that there to get a slightly elevated view. Anyway, I've got the plane nicely trimmed out. So why don't we go ahead and press insert. That will take us to the drone view. Pick up my controller here, and yeah, we can, okay, so this is way too fast. So one thing that is quite annoying is that it doesn't save. I wish it would remember your last settings. That would make my life a lot easier, really would. So I don't know, hopefully they'll implement that at some point. It's a little bit too fast still, so I go, especially on the rotation. So this is the thing that is a little bit fiddly. That's a good speed rotation-wise. So there we go. That's a nice cinematic kind of a view sweeping around the back of the aircraft with Manhattan down below. Ignore the micro stutters. But that works quite well as a nice cinematic shot. Now, I might need to just go up one notch on the rotation. And let's try the same thing going around the front of the aircraft. Like that. Maybe there. Something like that's nice. So that's kind of how I get my cinematic shots. Now, I really just wish they would get a way to replay this. It would just make life so much easier. So stuff like that. Also, you can do quite a strange shot, but I quite like it. It's a very unnatural shot, is to increase the elevation and at the same time the rotation of the nose of the drone. So you get this kind of shot like that. So that requires pushing down on this view and then decreasing the elevation. I quite like shots like that. They're quite unnatural. Some people get sort of motion sickness, but if we just turn, let me just speed this up a little bit. If we turn the view like that, and then we do the same thing. So I'm going to increase this. Actually, that's too fast now. Let me just decrease that. So if we do a shot like this, for example, I like that a lot. If you're motion sensitive, you know, it could be an issue. Oh, I seem to have lost my... Oh no, it's just slow. Yeah, so another shot that's quite nice would be when you've got a nice view of Manhattan overhead. You know, shots like that. Pretty cool. Be even better if it was straighter. And yeah, if you can see where you're going a little bit, shots like that. And of course you can Get the wire out the way. You can also do shots like this, which are pretty awesome. So panning out to give you a wider view of the scenery down below, and then of course you could do some funky movements like that. That's too fast. And the same thing going in, you know, you could perhaps do something like this. Oh, way too fast. Hang on. Something like this would be cool. Too fast, but anyway, you get the idea. So it does take a little bit of fiddling around to get this sort of smooth transitions or smooth pans, but it can be done. It just takes a little bit of practice. I quite enjoy it. I like flying drones, and I also love photography, and cinematography. So I really like this system. I think it's great. It needs a bit of refining, in my opinion. I would love you to be able to set up different speed settings and save those profiles, or at least for it to remember what setting you've put, you know, and keep it that way until you change it again. Having to readjust the speed every time you go. So if I go back into the cockpit and then go back out again. Oh, okay, it does remember that. That's good. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it reset the whole thing. Certainly, if you change aircraft or restart the sim, you're going to have to reset those speeds again. So anyway, guys, I hope you found this video useful. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see. And I look forward to seeing some of your cinematic shots. And yeah, hope it has helped in some way. But mastery of the drone system will really give you the full effect of this beautiful sim. So I think it's well worth delving in and, you know, getting yourself a controller and playing around with it, and you know, showing off the beauty of this simulator, because it is, well, remarkable, and you can get some cool things, cool effects in this sim. So guys, thanks for tuning in. I really hope this has helped in some way. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.